Do you know ball?
Uniball,
Do you know ball?
Uniball,
Do you know ball?
Uniball, Uniball.
All right, welcome back to episode 7. It's been a couple fun weeks,
Yeah.
I have to say. Um, like always, we're gonna jump straight into the topics today. We're gonna start off directly with a little bit of a twist this week.
Twist.
We're gonna start off with some basketball news, some NBA world news.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to start with the Knicks. Now, the Knicks, I don't think going into this season were a favorite to be as high a seed as they are. But ever since acquiring OG Anunoby in a trade, they are 15-2. They're not only 15-2, they are third in the Eastern Conference with a record of 32-17. Now, 15-2 is prior to the game against the Lakers. We'll see how that goes after the pod, but prior to the Lakers, they are 15-2, third in the Eastern Conference, 32-17. It's unprecedented what they're doing right now. Not to mention they're doing it without Randall and OG's been injured for the past couple games, so they literally are relying on Brunson to carry them right now. There's not much else to say besides that, but I guess it's just right now just look out for the Knicks because they are a top team right now in the NBA. You could disagree with that if you
I,
may.
I do disagree with that, but I don't really care enough about the Knicks to speak about them.
You don't care enough.
No, I
You
don't.
you can talk about them because
No, I know. I don't really, honestly, I don't really care about them. My personal opinion, they're peaking, and then they won't make it past the second round.
they're doing really, really good right now, and they just
Sure.
knocked off the Pacers too the other night.
Yeah. Halliburton minute restriction, but yeah, you're right. They did.
Still, Pacers are one of the best teams in the league too. They have a really, really good roster, especially after getting Pascal.
Halliburton minute restriction, but yeah,
And they
you're
they
right.
knocked them off, yeah.
Yep. Halliburton
Knocked
minute
them off.
restriction. You're right. Yeah.
I think they knocked off the Sixers too the other night too.
Halliburton minute restriction. Embiid injured, I believe. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If I played the Wizards and Hornets every night, I'd also be 15-2 in that span. But
I
that's
mean,
basketball, right?
they have one of the best defenses in the league right now too.
Sure.
They've
Mhm.
been doing really, really good, really solid.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're a solid team.
I don't get the feeling that you really think that.
No, they're solid. But like I
I
said, I don't
don't
really
get.
care about the Knicks enough to speak about them.
Well, that's just it. I just wanted to mention that because I feel like what they're doing right now is unprecedented, like from like any team in the NBA, especially because they just have Brunson right now, and like a lot of other pieces to their puzzle is all hurt and injured, especially Randall. Randall's a big blow that they lost an OG. I don't know what's going on with him right now. But
Tom Thibodeau effect.
hopefully that OG comes back healthy and the Knicks are ready to go, but they're really waiting on Randall. But I don't know if they're gonna make another trade. This
They won't.
I don't
They have
know
nothing.
because it's me looking in on the NBA. I thought that the Knicks were going to, since making the OG trade, we're gonna do another thing, a big move to bring in more talent for for the playoffs for the NBA playoffs, so that they could make a push. But it doesn't seem there hasn't been any rumors, any traction to anybody, so it doesn't really seem to be leading anywhere.
Well, they have nothing to trade. And if they do trade, I don't know what they would trade or who they would trade for. Your biggest assets in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly gone for OG Anunoby, who you have to pay in the offseason. So I don't know any trade chips that the Knicks would even offer to teams. I mean, you have Evan Fournier who can match a contract, but other than that, I don't think any team is really going to want him or his salary. So I don't see the Knicks making any moves. I don't think they would win a championship currently constructed. Are they a good team? Sure, yeah, but that's just the hard reality of it. So I'm not falling into fairyland with the New York Knicks.
Well, before we shift into baseball, I do actually want to mention two more things about the NBA world. Um, just today, this is pretty not big news, but like it it's kind of sad to see. Um, today it was just announced that Zach Levine will miss the entire season, the entire rest of the season due to surgery.
Hmm.
Um, Struggling Bulls team doesn't seem to be like anything's going right for them. They continue to struggle. Um, and that really like begs the question, like, are they going to rebuild and just get rid of everybody
No,
again and
no,
start from the ground up?
no,
You don't think so?
no. They should, but they won't. Their front office is incompetent. DeMar DeRozan's going to be there until the end of the year. They should trade DeMar. They should trade Caruso. I read something today that said the biggest trade they might make is moving Andre Drummond. I don't think they're going to do anything. The Bulls are very stubborn. Zach Levine trade might come in the offseason. I just I don't see anything really changing for the Chicago Bulls this season.
Yeah, they've been really, really bad. And
Hmm.
it's just sad to see with Levine too, because he's a talent that has been so good. He was so good last year. I don't know why you're making that face because he was so good last year.
Zach
He
Levine's
was
a negative asset to his team.
no, stop.
Yes,
Stop.
he is. He's a negative
He's not a
asset.
negative asset.
Yes, he is.
In no way, shape, and form is Zach Levine a negative asset to
He
his
does
team.
not change a team. He does not change a team. Not
He
one
is a
bit.
superstar though.
You no, no. Let's not throw the word superstar around like that. If you add Zach Levine to some rumored teams, you add him to like the Pistons, where he'd be the number one option, he's not going to change anything about that team. You add him to the Lakers, he's not going to change anything about that team. You add him to the Sixers, he's not going to change anything about that team. Zach Levine's not a difference maker. He's on a really bad contract. He's not necessarily a team player, just kind of does he score a lot? Sure, but what's his efficiency levels? Not the greatest defender. He doesn't really change a team. I mean, sure, maybe last year had a good year. This year,
Well, he
it
hasn't
was
had a
never
good
helping
year
the
this year
Bulls.
because it's due to injury.
He was never helping the Bulls anyway. Like, let's be real. What was the last time he did something for the Bulls? I mean, the Bulls were like the sixth seed, what, 2 years ago or something? They were one of the best teams in the NBA a couple years ago. They had like a really hot start, but I think that was more DeMar than it was Zach Levine. I don't see
I think so
Levine
too.
being
I think
a.
so too.
I don't think Levine's that big of a. I want to say loss. It's
I
obviously a loss, but I
when
don't
I
see
said
him as a big.
superstar though, when I said superstar though, I didn't. It's not. Put it this way, he is. What I mean, like, is he's a star. He's a star, definitely. But I do agree with you when you say he's not a difference maker. He's not a difference maker, but he is a good piece to add to a puzzle for each team. So
Mhm.
say if he went to the Knicks, because I know he was rumored for that for a while. Say if he went to the Knicks or then any other team that like actually needs that position, he would help lead to a chip. But it would have the team would have to have more pieces other than just him. If it was, I do agree. If it was just him on a team, they're not doing anything. The team will not
Mhm.
do. You put him on the Pistons, like you said, not doing anything. He's not gonna. There's not gonna be a difference maker that's gonna lead them to a ring and a deep postseason run. So I do agree with the points you made. But speaking of injuries, another injury that I do want to mention before we shift into baseball is Joel Embiid. I know you have some words about that. I know you definitely have some words about that.
First off, Joel Embiid will not be winning the MVP award this year due to this injury. I think this rule change is great for the game of basketball. You should not win awards if you don't play games. Simple as that. We need to have a discussion about Joel Embiid, one of the most injury-prone players in basketball. Flops a lot, falls a lot. I don't think he's a basketball player personally. That's just my opinion. I think he would be great in the WWE, great at faking falls, great at fighting. He's an actor, he's not an athlete, so I think they would be a perfect match for each other. What's funny too is I saw a tweet today that Ben Simmons has played more career games, I believe, or the percentage of games he's played was more than Joel Embiid. That was crazy.
That is
That
crazy.
was that was a crazy stat. And yet people want to flake on Ben for missing games when their beloved flop of an MVP does the same thing at a higher rate. He's not my MVP. He was a crybaby that cried his way to an MVP award last year. Should have been Jokic. Should be Jokic again this year. Jokic should be on his way to a fourth MVP right now. But because Joel Embiid, such a crybaby, he has an MVP award that he did not deserve. And now, rightfully, he will not win again this year. I pray for him. I'm not praying on his downfall. Do I like him? Absolutely not. But hopefully he gets better physically. As a player, hate him. Glad he's not winning MVP.
That's some crazy takes about him.
It's the
Um,
truth. I don't lie on this
the
podcast.
dude is averaging 35, 11, and like seven
Hmm.
assists. Like he's putting up like insane numbers, but a lot of it, you're right. Like it all comes from him flopping and
Hmm.
then taking like 20 foul shots a game.
Hmm.
Like if you're taking 20 foul shots a game and adding that to like that, those are free throws. Those are free throws.
Hmm.
It's in the name. It's free throws. They're not guarded. They're one of the easiest shot in the game.
Hmm.
So even his like 70 point night, like 25 shots all from the foul line. Like I don't know. To me,
Yeah.
stuff like that when you flop to get points, it just it doesn't add skill, and I feel like that's a wild statement to say about Embiid because don't get me wrong, he is one of the best players in the NBA right now, but like I don't like how he goes about getting his points, but he is a really good player.
He's a
So
good actor. Hmm.
all right, well, so I'm gonna take your mind a little bit off of basketball. We're gonna shift to all the recent baseball news that we've gotten over the
Ooh.
past week since the last podcast.
Before we go to baseball, I just kind of want to add this in there.
Okay, go
Jo-
ahead. Yeah,
Joel Embiid averages the most free throws per game this season with a 10.5 free throws a game.
stats don't lie. Stats don't lie.
10.5 free throws. Number two is at a whopping 8.3, and that's Shea Gilgeous. Shea Gilgeous. And I just want to make a point. Nikola Jokic. I'm looking at a list right now. I can't find him. Oh, there he is. 4.8. That's the difference. That's my MVP. Let's go to
Mm.
baseball.
Oh yeah, let's go to baseball. So big big baseball news, and when I say big, I don't mean small. I mean big. Like this
Big
is
Kahuna.
huge,
Hmm.
huge. Corbin Burns is now a Baltimore Oriole. And that's wild to say because the Orioles, who had a great season last year, was the best team in the AL East last year. The best team. They're now adding their number one prospect to go along with Adley Rushman, to go along with Gunnar Henderson. So those two young guys who have gotten experience are in the roster now, adding Jackson Holiday, which is an already stacked roster with Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander, a bunch of other guys that make the team what it is. And then now you're adding Corbin Burns, who is an ace, to a team that has Kyle Bradish now and Grayson Rodriguez. That three young, well, two of them are young, but Burns, who has ace talent, is now added to the roster. It's huge. Is really huge. And I don't know. Yankees fans, if you're not a fan of baseball, you don't know this, but the AL East is has to be the best and most competitive division in all of baseball. You got teams in there that are loaded from the top to bottom. The Yankees, who you thought would have had like one of the best off seasons this year, it just it's just mind-boggling that the Orioles are going to go over top. And, I feel like there's been some rumors though too with Blake Snell and how okay, so seeing the Orioles make this move, okay, Cashman, you gotta do something. You gotta go out and you gotta do something to combat this. But I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Matt, you want to mention the full trade?
So the full trade, Baltimore Orioles receive former Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burns. Milwaukee receives a penny, a napkin, and a tissue. That's what Milwaukee gets. That's what Milwaukee gets from this trade. In actuality, Joey Ortiz, which is the Orioles' seventh prospect, number seven prospect, DL Hall, and the 34th pick in the 2024 draft.
Hey man, it got it done though. Got it done.
I this is the best part. This is what's so good about baseball. The last topic we talked about in the last podcast was Reese Hoskins signing with the Brewers. And we were like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Brewers win the division. Freezing cold take now. There's
Freezing
no
cold.
no meaning behind this anymore. The Orioles absolutely robbed the Brewers. The Brewers were probably going to win their division. They were saying all offseason they were not going to trade Corbin Burns. They, if anything, were going to wait till the trade deadline because they believed they were going to win the division. And all of a sudden, they trade Corbin Burns for a box of scraps. You know the suit Tony Stark made in the cave with his box of scraps? Yeah, that's what the Milwaukee Brewers got for Corbin Burns. They got the box of scraps. That's what they got. They got nothing. Does this mean Willie Adames gets traded now? Probably.
Could mean it. Could mean a
Probably.
complete rebuild, a complete reshape of the team because
Devin Williams too, probably. Wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. It boggles the mind. And as a Yankee fan, I am mad. You'd think adding Juan Soto to a team would make you the best team in your division. No.
also Marcus Stroman. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
I almost just instinctively just said something bad about the Mets, but I realized that was
That was a
more
compliment.
of
That was a
yeah, I know.
compliment.
I have to
Yeah.
kind of control myself in that aspect. I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
so
we're gonna touch on the
programmed.
Mets later, and I'm gonna
I'm
take over for that. But I'm gonna let
I'm
you
so
continue.
programmed to just insult the Mets at any point. But no, a great trade for the Orioles. Their young offense is great. Best team in the AL East, best team in the AL, and I don't really think so. You still got teams like the Rangers, Astros. Who knows? The Yankees could be better than this year. I doubt it, but there's always an opportunity for that to happen. It's exactly what they needed. They were looking at guys like Snell, looking at guys like Cease, and they just say screw it, and they get arguably a top five pitcher in the league, Corbin Burns. He's a free agent after this year, but the Orioles got new owners, multi-billionaires. So are they
They
going to
did.
resign him?
They did
I
get
don't
the
know.
new owners.
Honestly, it's looking like that they might re-sign him after this season. But then again, Corbin Burns, wouldn't be surprised if he's a Dodger. Let's be real here. Deferred contract for 15 years. Wouldn't be surprised at that either. But, it's definitely exactly what they needed. They needed an ace. They gave up absolutely nothing for him. They're going to be a scary team, and I hate that he's in my division now. The AL East just got a lot more competitive.
Well, now, considering that all being said, the Orioles rotation is heavily right-handed, correct? Or
Yes.
wrong?
I believe I don't even know who's in the rotation. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't know fully either. It's obviously Burns, Bradish. I think it's Kyle Gibson still there. Grayson Rodriguez. I don't know
No,
the
Gibson
is
went
Gibson
to
not there?
St. Louis, I think.
Okay, okay. So I take that back then. But mainly, predominantly right-handed. Does that beg the question that they may now go out and because Blake Snell has not been signed, does it beg the question that they may go out and get Blake Snell to add to that rotation?
I don't think so. I think if we're talking solely on Blake Snell, I think he could be a giant.
Really?
Yeah, the Giants, we talked about this a while ago. The Giants have been wanting to make a big move. They did just get Robbie Ray. Um, but if I'm not mistaken, I know they made a trade today. They cleared some money. They honestly could be using it to pivot to Blake Snell. I still think Blake Snell, one way or another, could end up in Seattle. It could happen. My, you
It very
know,
may well.
my delusional self wants to be like, oh, he's a Yankee. But I don't know. I don't think Baltimore pivots to Blake Snell after getting Corbin Burns. I think they'd get Blake Snell if they struck out on Corbin Burns. But now that they have Corbin Burns, I think they might just kind of rock with what they have. I don't see the Orioles making another move, especially not for Blake Snell.
Alrighty. Well, that's one trade, one pretty really big trade in the MLB. There was more. There was more. The Mariners went out, got themselves a shiny penny, got themselves Jorge Polanco to add to their roster. They did trade some of the people they got. I think what was it in the was it in the Haniger deal or was that is it a different deal? Because I'm pretty sure
Uh, Desclafani came over in the Robbie Ray trade, if I'm not
Robbie Ray,
mistaken.
my bad, Robbie Ray trade. Okay, so they gave up Desclafani, they gave up Justin Tapa, which who the hell is that?
No one
Um,
knows.
they gave up and they gave up two prospects in the deal. They gave up outfielder Gabriel Gonzalez and they gave up right-handed pitcher Darren Bowen. So it was a four-player return. Um, Cash was also involved for Polanco, but this is pretty big for the Mariners. This is pretty big.
Hmm.
I like the move. I like the move. I think you could add a guy that has a lot of talent, ton of talent, brings a lot to the roster, and is ultimately going to get you closer to that end goal, and that's to win a World Series.
Hmm.
I like the move a lot.
Yeah. So second base has kind of been an area of need for the Mariners for the longest time. They had Colton Wong, right? I don't even know who they ran out last year at second base. Caballero, whatever his name was. I could be totally butchering that. There's been rumors Gleyber Torres could be a Mariner. I'm glad we can finally stop those rumors. But no, Jorge Polanco is going to be great for them. The problem with him is he's never really healthy. He doesn't really play that many games. I know he was hurt last year for a good portion. Kind of was okay, solid. I won't lie. But it'll definitely help them. It'll definitely help them in a sense of trying
Hmm.
to get to that next level. But then again, you got to keep in mind it's not going to be that big of a game changer for them because he's not like a top guy in the league. He's not a star, and you do still have the Rangers, you still have the Astros in your division. It's gonna be tough, but it's not a hard mountain to climb. Anything can happen in baseball, and maybe who knows if he can stay healthy. I think Seattle is going to run away with this trade.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, now I wanna jump into a fun segment.
Yeah.
Um, this is requested by you.
Oh, this is going to be a really fun one.
This is requested by you.
It's going to be very fun.
Um, so some recent news came out that the new cover athlete for MLB 24 is Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you take the floor.
Yeah. So every year, MLB The Show, fun game for the PlayStation, baseball, for those that did not know. Every year, they take an athlete and they put him on the cover. They slap their face on the cover. They make them the man of the year. Last year, it was for some reason Jazz Chisholm Jr. So we all thought this year, we were going to get someone good. Ronald Acuna,
Hmm.
Julio Rodriguez, hell, even maybe Juan Soto. We thought we were going to win. And SDS slapped the entire world in the face. And they gave us Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the cover. First off, I have a list of reasons, 215 reasons as to why Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should not be on the cover of MLB The Show. And I hope you're ready for it because I'm going to list
You said
all two
250 reasons.
215, 215,
215. You're gonna
200.
list them all out right now.
I'm going to list them all right now.
Might as well kick back then.
Get ready. Here is the list of offensive players who had a higher F WAR, which is Fangraph's version of WAR. Everyone knows the stat WAR. That's how you statistically measure how good a player was in a season. Here's the list of offensive players with a higher F WAR than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in 2023. Acuna, Betts, Freeman, Olson, Otani, Simeon, Seager, Lindor, Carroll, J-Rod, Witt, Soto, Contreras, Judge, Riley, J-Ram, Adley, Robert, Swanson, Tucker, Crawford, Adolis, Yandy, Raleigh, Horner, Henderson, Franco, Jordan, Bogarts, Friedel, Smith, Outman, Tatis, Kim, Nimmo, Bregman, Paredes, Murphy, Marte, Hine, Yelich, Bellinger, Albies, Altuve, Harris, Stott, Estrada, Bichette, Walker, McCormick, Lau, Turner, Jones, Goldschmidt, Jimenez, Happ, Machado, Chapman, Arias, Adames, Marsh, Arozarena, Harper, Candelario, Azuna, Hayes, McLean, Torres, Newbar, Seiya, Suarez, Devers, Trout, Quan, Galoff. I don't know how to fucking say his name. Muncy, Bailey, Lau, Alonzo, Pena, Julian, Swinski, Perdons, Thomas, Jeffers, Siri, Alvarez, Santander, Arenado, Rayleigh, Kepler, McNeil, Jung, Berger, Gorman, Castro, Naylor, Drury, Flores, Contreras, Lewis, other Naylor, Duran, Belt, Reynolds, Tavares, Arcia, Edmond, Green, Rogers, Hayward, Hayes, Carpenter, Caballero, Kiermaier, Springer, Davis, Martinez, Abrams, Varsho, Steer, Garver, Hurried, Lau, Birdies, Donovan, Wade, Verdugo, Yanner, Rooker, Schneider, Jansen, Noda, Renfigo, Garcia, Joe, Wallner, Volpe, Taylor, Soler, Duvall, Chisholm, Dubon, Pham, Ramirez, Mullins, Jastrzemski, Talkman, Teoscar, Casas, Triolo, Gary Sanchez, Ellie De La Cruz, Benson, Higashioka, Taylor, Morena, Myers, Santana, Grisham, Mountcastle, Farmer, Kirk, Tobar, Ibanez, Canna, Merrifield, Moniak, Polanco, Ward, Furman, Realmuto, Fraley, Frillick, Schwarber, O'Hearn, Morel, Torkelson, Rojas, Rosario, Sanchez, Carter, Kellenick, McCutcheon, Solano, Makata, India, Garrett, Ruiz, Turner, McKinstry, Verling, McMahon, Perkins, Andrews, Correa, Rojas, Blanco, Conforto, Caratini, Isbell, Weimer, Bohm, DeLay, Westberg, Campusano, Neto, Lopez, DJ LeMahieu, Harrison Bader, Cronenworth, Jankowski, Aaron Hicks, Biggio, and Meadows. That is all 215 reasons as to why Vladimir Guerrero should not be on the cover of MLB The Show 24. And I couldn't have done it without Papa Cole 45 on Twitter. Thank you very much, Papa Cole.
My God.
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
What a list.
That is 215 reasons as to why Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should not be the cover athlete of MLB The Show 24.
You know what popped out to me the most?
Yeah.
For some reason this player popped out to me the most. You mentioned Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, I did.
You mentioned Gary Sanchez. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
actually wild.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you
Harrison Bader, too, by the
I know.
way.
Well, you the fact that you found this, it just shows how much you really like care about this situation. To me, to me personally, I don't really care as much that he's the cover athlete, but you clearly took a lot of time, put a lot of effort into finding something to prove that he should not be the cover athlete for MLB The Show 24.
This was all Papa Cole, man. Credits to him or her.
Credits to
I don't
Papa
know.
Cole.
Papa Cole, you're the GOAT. Thank you for this.
Praise
Thank
to
you.
Papa Cole.
Thank you, Papa Cole.
All right, we got to move on though.
Yes, gladly.
So, with trades, there comes signings. And I didn't want to do this too late in the podcast,
Hmm.
but I kind of want to talk about the New York Mets.
Oh boy. I'll sit back and listen.
You sit back and you enjoy the show because I look, the Mets went out. They added to their bullpen. They signed Ottavino for 1 year, 4.5 mil. They signed Jake Diekman, 1 year, 4 mil. They signed Shintaro Fujinami, and I hope I'm saying that name right, to a 1 year, 3.35 mil contract. I just um, so much anger I have when it comes to hearing these players being announced to signing. So much anger. And it's not because they signed them. Ottavino, although on paper had a great year last year.
Keep in mind you have the richest owner in sports.
Richest owners. although it says he may have had a good year with a 3.21 ERA last good year, every time that dude picked up a baseball and went on the field to pitch for the Mets, I knew it was game over because he he's either dirty or it's just a hanging pitch that any player in the MLB could catch up to and hit out of the park. Um, and then you go out and you sign Jake Diekman and Shintaro Fujinami. Look, look, Diekman had a good year last year. I believe he pitched for the Rays, and he had like a 2.18 ERA, which is all fun. It's all good. But you signed him for 4 mil for 1 year. Why not go out and go the extra mile? God forbid the Mets go the extra mile. Why not go out and get Wandy Peralta? The Padres did it. They signed him for 16 mil, but it was across 4 years. You're telling me that you don't have enough cash to do 4 mil a season, 4 mil a season for a really, really great left-handed relief pitcher. A really great left-handed relief pitcher. It's great for the Yankees, has been dominant for the Yankees. You telling me that you can't do that contract. You can't replicate that contract. And then you sign Shintaro Fujinami, which, hey, had a great year, right? Had a great back half of the year with the Orioles, which is wrong. It's wrong. I see it all over Twitter. They're saying that he had this great, oh, it looked promising, threw 100 miles an hour. The dude had a 4.18 ERA, I believe, with the Orioles.
Google says 4.85, but just let you
4.85,
know.
around the same. 4.85. Then for totality in the season, a 7.18 ERA? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? You're telling me you can't shell out for Wandy Peralta. You can't shell out for one of Hector Neris. And another guy that I believe is still on the market is Ryan Stanek. What's to do with that? Right now, I think the Mets are pathetic. And I say that
I agree.
obviously knowing that we knew this year wasn't our year. We knew that we
When is
weren't
it
going to be
ever?
competitive. Hold on, Matt, please. We knew we weren't going to be competitive. We knew we were going to be more competitive the following season and in 2026 as well. But come on, these are crappy contracts. I'm also gonna mention on this little rant that I'm going on right now, I'm also gonna mention Justin Turner because you're telling me right now that the Mets could not shell out $13 million for 1 year. 1 year, a rental for 1 year that could have DH'd for you and also played the field if you so choose to let him.
Mhm.
$13 million. He also, God forbid, also got 1.5 mil in bonuses. But my God, these are cheap contracts. These players have been rumored. Oh, the Mets are looking at this, and then you see after he signs and stuff like that, that the Mets are now not looking for an external DH. They're done. They're not. They're going to most likely rely on Mark Vientos, which do I want to see the kid get more minute playing time? Of course. I want to see him play more. But I think you could have done better and you could have just put him at third base and picked up a DH for the season. I think I think Beatty's a guy that's been struggling a crap ton. He struggled so much last year going
Yes.
into this year.
Hmm.
So I don't see the need or the reason why the Mets couldn't shell out a couple extra mil, which we all know that they have, and get these players to come to the team because they are not expensive. $13 million. I'm sure Steve Cohen literally shoots that out of his butt every night.
He wipes
A-
his nose with that. Hmm.
And on top of that, you know what I found out, Matt? You know what I found out?
Enlighten me.
I'm pretty sure that Steve Cohen invested in something that had to do with golf and like PGA. He invested a bunch of money into golf rather than spend a little bit of money on certain players to at least put out a somewhat of a competitive team. Not a competitive team, but a somewhat of a competitive team. I don't know. I'm sick. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of I'm already the season hasn't even started. I'm already sick of the Mets crap right now. Hopefully
Hmm.
it gets better. I
I don't think
hope it
it
gets
will.
better.
I don't think it will.
Right now I'm just gonna go into the season with an open mind
Hmm.
and hopefully these moves prove me they're don't get me wrong, they're okay moves. I'm just saying you could have done better in
Hmm.
a lot of aspects.
Yeah. Well, I
That's all
mean,
I want to say about the Mets.
makes you feel any better about Justin Turner? Justin Turner today said that he wanted to re-sign with Boston. Like that's where he wanted to go,
Oh,
but
yippee. That makes me
but
feel so much better.
no, I mean like I don't think the Mets even stood a chance with him. The contract negotiations never got off the ground for Boston, so he ended up pivoting to Toronto. I guess they just gave him what he wanted. But that's interesting because we were talking about a guy like JD Martinez, and now that Toronto has, Justin Turner, whether they put him at third base or to replace Matt Chapman or they put him at DH, it still makes me think that JD Martinez is not going to go to Toronto. I think he still ends up an Angel, in my opinion. I just think
Well,
that's the most likely landing spot for him now. So Justin Turner signing kind of has a little bit of a domino effect to it.
well, it's not just Justin Turner signing the Blue Jays X's out JD Martinez to sign with them. It also X's out Jorge Soler, which was my pick. I thought that Jorge Soler was going to
Mm-hmm.
100% go to the Blue Jays because a young guy, young DH, good bat, good outfielder, good arm,
Yeah.
would have made a lot more of a difference than Justin Turner, and you could have re-signed Matt Chapman if you really wanted the third base spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that the Justin Turner move for the Blue Jays doesn't make any sense, but I can say that I believe if you went a different route and you signed the younger guy and Jorge Soler, that would have made more sense for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I have no idea where Soler's going to go, but at the end of the day, we're gonna see. Hopefully, we'll have an update soon about Soler and
Yeah.
more people. There's still a lot of free agents out there.
It's funny. It's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that because speaking of people out there, mention people out there on the market still. We still have Cody Bellinger on the
Cody
market.
Bellinger,
Where's he gonna land?
Chicago.
I I do think so too. But I'm getting the more time that goes by, I'm getting a little concerned. Because it's not just him on the market, it's a lot of other people. But
Mm-hmm.
Bellinger, who had one of the best years he has had in a long time last year, to not have signed yet, he is going to get a cheap contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I fear because we all know he's going to play in 2024. It's just a matter of what contract he's going to sign and what team he's going to sign it for.
Mm-hmm. I think I just think that Chicago is just the most likely scenario. I don't know what other team is going to really give him the money he wants. I think he's already pretty comfortable in Chicago. But we were talking about it, him and other people still unsigned. There's a common denominator between all of them, between guys like Bellinger, guys like Snell, Monty, Matt Chapman. Those are the notable ones. It's all Scott Boras.
Yep.
Scott Boras, great at his job. Don't get me wrong. He really
Fantastic. He's fantastic.
squeezes every single penny out of the teams for his clients. But as a fan, just sitting here waiting for these top guys to sign just sucks. We want to know who's going to be on our team by opening day. We want to see these guys in spring training. There's a good chance that some of these guys might not even sign before training camp. That's what the reports were saying. And honestly, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised. And it's crazy because some of these guys, like we just think is like so obvious where they're going. Like we all pretty much figure Monty's going to re-sign with Texas. We all pretty much figure Bellinger's probably going to go back to Chicago, but no deals are done yet. And it's just really
Yeah.
frustrating. Like we want this to get done. Scott Boras, sign these guys, please, from a fan perspective. I don't even
Well,
care if it's with the Yankees or not. Just sign them.
Well, that's the thing with Boris. He wants top dollar, and he's not gonna settle for anything less than top dollar for his players, for his
Hmm.
clients.
Yeah.
So part of that actually makes me fear for what's gonna happen in the off season, and maybe not just the off season, but probably through the course of the year with Peter Morgan Alonso. I'm
Is
worried.
he's a Scott Boris client?
He is a Scott Boris client.
Oh, you can kiss him goodbye. He's gone.
He's going
He's
to
a
demand,
Dodger.
not to say that he deserves top dollar. Pete Alonso deserves top dollar, but the fact that these guys have not been signed makes me worried as not only as a Mets fan, but also as a fan of the MLB, watching all these moves not happen. Not happen. No traction, no nothing, no rumors, no, oh, they're they most likely these players will most likely be in agreement with this team or that team or heavily linked to this team. Nothing. Nothing. And all these players are going to play in 2024. It's just a matter of when and how it's going to end up. Because
Hmm.
if Scott Boras is willing to wait past like spring training camp, like I guess all you could say is maybe kudos to him because if he only then that only kudos to him if he lands his clients the contract that they want.
Hmm.
That's the
Absolutely.
only way you say kudos.
Hmm.
But that's just unbelievable that these players have not been signed yet.
Hmm.
And we're going to
Hmm.
continue to talk about it each week because
Yeah.
it's just every week that goes by is a new milestone checked off
Hmm.
that they haven't been signed yet. And in a lot of ways, yes, this offseason has been fast paced, but in a lot of ways it's also been very slow paced
Hmm.
because of this.
Hmm.
So we're gonna wrap up from all the tension, and we're gonna go into something to take off the edge.
We're
And
gonna finish with something that we started with
yeah,
last time.
go ahead. Go ahead, Matt.
New jerseys.
Yay. New
So last
jerseys.
time we talked about the ugly Nationals jerseys, and because they were ugly, we had Zach talk about them.
Yep.
But I think these are kind of cool. So I'm going to talk about them because I'm a cool cat.
No way.
The
Okay, but go ahead.
Philadelphia,
Again.
the Philadelphia Phillies, brand new City Connect jerseys. These were leaked. I don't know if these are like official, but these are at the time we made this script together. These were the leaked jerseys, so we're going to show them off. They are interesting, interesting to say the least. They're like blue, blue and yellow. You got like this light blue
Not even the
color.
Phillies colors.
That's what makes it cool. That's what makes it cool. You have this blue that contrasts from the normal Phillies red, and then on top of that, as you go down the jersey, it gets darker, right? And then you have like stripes of yellow. That's just not what you associate with the Phillies. And that's what I like. These minor league teams have these really cool, these like stud jerseys. And we don't have enough of those cool jerseys in the MLB. The basic Philly jerseys are really nice. Don't get me wrong. The red with the pinstripes. Then they have the powder blue jerseys. Those are really nice. Don't get me wrong. But I wish we had more crazy jerseys like these are kind of cool. The font, I mean, this reminds me of like a player of the month card in MLB, does it not? Like the lightning cards.
Yeah.
This is the vibe I get from this jersey. And it's kind of part of me just kind of likes it. I just kind of like it because it doesn't scream Phillies, which
No.
some people might hate, but it makes me like it. I but at the same time, I look at it and I think of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, definitely. I did see that. But it's funny you mention all these points because
Mm-hmm.
I hate these jerseys. I hated last week's national jerseys and I hate this jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It's just why. Like I understand where you're coming from, like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
so different from what we're normally used to seeing with the Phillies, so it's very interesting and it would be nice to see other teams do this. But it's just like to go completely outside of the normal colors you're used to seeing
Mm-hmm.
for the Phillies. Like if you create a cool design, I'm gonna be all for it. Especially It's like for your team. It's interesting. It's great, but like to go completely outside the box,
Hmm.
literally, the letters look like lightning bolts. Like it's
Hmm.
like I don't know. I don't know. To me, I don't like looking at these jerseys. And if I'm going to a Mets Phillies game and I see the blue jerseys, I'm not gonna think it's the Phillies. I'm gonna think they're playing a different team. They look like the Brewers jerseys. They're the same color scheme as the Brewer jerseys. I just think they're flat out ugly. If
Almost
this
kind
is
of
their
like Diamond
official,
Dynasty.
yeah, but well, if it's like your official, if this is their official City Connect jerseys, then they're in
Mhm.
trouble because I don't like this at all. And I think a lot of people are gonna agree with the fact that these are ugly, just like the
Well,
last ones.
look what this picture I just put on the dock. You see this? It's on the viewer screen right now. Does that change your mind?
It
What do
just
you
it
think?
just looks odd. It just looks odd. It
Even
looks it looks
even
odd.
even if Bryce Harper's wearing it, you think it looks odd?
It still looks odd. It still looks odd. It's not Phillies colors. It's blue, yellow, and like dark blue. It's just like that doesn't work. It doesn't work for the Phillies.
You know,
It's
I think for next pod we might have to do a tier list of the jerseys.
we could do a tier list. We
I
could
think we might
definitely do a
have
tier
to.
list.
Hmm.
But keep in mind, next week is also, I believe, Super Bowl
Dun
Sunday.
dun. That's right. Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday.
We're bringing a football expert onto the pod. We're going to give our predictions about the Super Bowl, and then we're going to get right back into it with
Yep.
some more MLB news. Hopefully, there's more. And then we could also give a little bit more info about the NBA,
Yep.
depending on how you guys like that segments.
Yeah, we did a little bit of a twist with the
Mm-hmm.
NBA stuff because we've really only been mentioning MLB stuff and all that because hey,
News. Yeah,
MLB, yeah, it's news. News.
news.
It's literally news. News.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about to wrap it up. That's about it for this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us. Next podcast, week 8, coming out next week. Hopefully you stay tuned.
Special guest.
Yep, special guests. We'll catch you in the next one.
Mm-hmm.